Hello, friends. During this video, we are going to be going over day 3 morning work. So we'll get right down to it. This is a way to help you if you missed any, help you to learn strategies and get the right answer the next time you would do a problem like this. So I am going to share my screen. And we are on day 3. So if we look at the very first question, let me get my annotate feature going here. If we look at the very first question, we have 9 times blank equals 9. So these are simple multiplication facts. And this is great because it's really what our lesson has been about the last 2 days. So I see 2 9s there and I ask myself 9 times what will give me 9? And I know the answer is 1. 9 times 1 equals 9. And remember the saying we have that says 1 and the same. So I have 2 9s. My other number in my multiplication or division sentence would have to be 1 if 2 of the numbers are the same. So if you look at the next one, we have blank times 2 equals 2. So I can say to myself, what times 2 would give me 2? Well, 1 would give me 2. And also, again, if you look, one of the numbers in the number sentence is 1, so the other 2 numbers are both 2. In other words, if we say, well, our 2 other numbers were the same, then our other number has to be 1. And then last but not least, here's some practice with the arithmetic pattern for multiplying by 0. 7 times 0 equals 0. So if you have 7 groups and there's nothing in each group, what do you have? You have nothing, all right? When you multiply and divide and 0 is in your number sentence, you should always have 2 zeros in your number sentence, whether it's multiplication or division. Okay, let's go to the next one. 149 minus 121. I'm gonna make my line a little bit thicker here. Okay, 149 minus 121, write it nice and big. If you don't have room in the square, remember you can use all this space over here. I could write over here if I needed to, whoops. All right, important thing is just to make sure you line up your numbers according to place value. So both 9 and 149 and 1 and 121 represent the ones. So now I can subtract by starting with the ones. 9 ones minus 1 1 gives me 8 ones. The second column is the tens. So I can say to myself, 4 tens minus 2 tens gives me 2 tens. And then last but not least, I can subtract my hundreds. I got 100. I take 100 away. I have 0 hundreds. You don't have to write the 0 there because if you think about it, what is our answer to that? Our answer is 28. And I don't think you would ever write the answer if we said, how many, you have 28 bookmarks. How many bookmarks do you have? I don't think you would ever write, I have 28 bookmarks, would you? So let's keep that in mind, that you don't need to put the 0 when it's your last place that you're subtracting. Okay, our next one is a word problem. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make my line small again so we can underline our knowns. It says each of 8 girls has a button collection. So I know I have 8 girls. Whoops. All right. Each girl has 8 buttons in her collection. So I know each girl has 8 buttons. How many total buttons are there in the 8 collections? So when I'm picturing this in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, 8 girls. Each girl has 8 buttons. So I'm going to draw, you could draw equal groups, you could draw a tape diagram. I'm going to just make it really simple and easy. And I'm going to draw 8 girls and I'm going to use circles. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what do those circles represent? They represent my 8 girls. Okay, each girl has 8 buttons. So I could draw 8 circles in those, 8 smaller circles to represent the 8 buttons. But at this point, I think I can just put an 8 in there. And what does the 8 inside the circle represent? It represents the 8 buttons that each girl has. So one more time, I have 8 girls. Each girl has 8 buttons. And so now I need a number sentence to write for that. Well, to me, it looks like 8 equal groups of 8. I hope you would agree. So that number sentence looks like this: 8 equal groups of 8 equals. And then remember, if you don't know that fact, you can skip count by 8s. So let's skip count our picture. And it's this old man. So 8, 16, 24, 32 and 40, 48, 56 and 64. My answer is 64. So how many buttons are there in the 8 collections? There are 64. Please dress up your number and make sure you write buttons. That's called a dress up number. Otherwise, if you just wrote 64, that doesn't really indicate whether you understand whether it's buttons or girls or collections or what it is. It's 64 buttons. And if you haven't heard this trick before, there's a few little rhymes that can help us with some of our facts and whatever we can think of to help us recall our facts fluently and quickly. So the one that a student taught me last year was 8 and 8 went to the store and bought a Nintendo 64. So I like that. 8 times 8 is 64. Maybe you can use that in the future when you're trying to recall that fact quickly. All right, our last question is a pattern question. It says, write the missing numbers to complete the pattern. We have 12, 18, 24. So the first thing I'm going to notice is that my numbers are going up. All right. So if they're getting bigger, I'm probably adding to them. Sometimes I'm multiplying, but I'm going to say I'm not going to multiply 12 times something to get 18. I'm going to add. So what could I add to 12 to get 18? Also looking at that and thinking, boy, that sounds like a familiar skip counting pattern. Okay, 12, 18, 24. But let's count on from 12 to 18 and see how much we're adding each time. Remember, when we count on from 12, we start with 13. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I added 6, didn't I? So I'm going to put a little plus 6 here. And then I'm going to take 18 and I'm going to add 6. Again, I can count on from 18, starting with 19, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Oh, I added 6 that time. And now I feel pretty confident that I've identified the pattern. It looks like I'm adding 6 every time. So now I'm going to take 24 and I'm going to add 6. Maybe you can do that mentally. If you can't, I would use the strategy I just showed you of counting on. Okay. But I know in my head, 24 plus 6 is 30. Okay. And then I need to add 6 again. So 30 plus 6 equals 36. I need to add 6 again because it is that repeating pattern. 36 plus 6 equals 42. Now I knew that last one pretty quickly because I've noticed that these are my 6s. And so I can skip count by 6s to see what would come next. So if I start with 0, 0, 6, we got 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. Okay. And that's your morning work for today, boys and girls. I hope you learned some strategies there that will help you in the future. Okay.